KKSM AM 1320 Oceanside, streaming worldwide at PalomarCollegeRadio.com. This is DJ Roob. Welcome to Not So Serious Radio, our San Diego local live set. We are pleased as punch this week to have in our midst Stephen L. Ray and friends. Yip, yip, yip.
babe, take me and dance. I don't know where we're going, but you take me straight down where the lights fall to the ground. Leave me, my baby, my baby free. I told you once, I told you twice, you mess with me, then I won't be so nice. My sweet little babe, yeah, my sweet little devil, but just don't take me straight on downhill. Yeah, my sweet little babe, yeah, my sweet little devil, just don't take me with you. Straight on down.
Stephen L. Ray, live here on Not So Serious Radio. Hello, gang.
Hello, everybody.
Greetings and salutations. So we just heard Sweet Lil Devil. That was the track from, where can we find that one if we needed to?
You can't find that one.
No?
The first song was called Howlin on my brand new record called The Memphis Sessions.
Yes, there is a brand new album, and we will get to that.
Yeah, yes.
But first, let us do some introductions, please. Stephen, why don't you begin?
Well, to my left, I have my dear friend, the incomparable Mr. Dave Gleason here to my left.
Hello, Dave. Hi there. Dave's on lead guitar.
Dave is on lead guitar. And then my other dear friend, Mr. Pat Hallahan on the baritone saxophone, folks.
Hello, Pat.
And my other dear friend, Marco Savoia on upright bass.
Hey there.
Hey, you look familiar. Marco's been here a few times, which is, yeah, well, technically 3, but we'll get to that. So anyway, thanks for coming in tonight. Those were just wonderful renditions. We're so happy to have you here. So what I'd like to do is talk a little bit, Stephen, about your intriguing early childhood musical experiences that you reference on your website. We talked about it a little before the show. So have at it.
All right. Well, I grew up in San Diego, which is a border town, and my grandparents were in Imperial Valley, El Centro, and I kind of grew up. Well, my grandparents were probably my biggest influence for my passion in music. They had 2 jukeboxes parked side by side in their living room and dining room. It's the same area, and they had a failed restaurant business, and hence the 2 jukeboxes parked next to each other. So when I was just tall enough to reach up and hit the buttons, I would hear all kinds of music from old Mexican folk songs and unabashed love songs, and then I would hear anything from Johnny Cash to Lefty Frizzell to Renee, and so I kind of had that border town influence there.
There's a really great reason to have that border town influence.
Bless you.
That was a live sneeze. That was a live sneeze.
That's a border town sneeze.
I think it's just incredible that you had these jukeboxes growing up, and as a kid you had access to them, but it was on both sides of the family too, right? It wasn't just...
It was. That was just my grandmother's side, on my mother's side, and then my grandfather was a truck driver and rancher, and when him and my father's mother divorced, she had a cantina in Imperial Valley, so there was a jukebox in the bar there. So during the day, I would, go to the bar and hang out with my other grandmother,
Yeah. Drink a lot of Cokes.
and drink a lot of Cokes and hit the jukebox.
Yeah. Was it the same mix of stuff that were on the other jukeboxes?
Similar, but maybe even more 50s, 40s, 5s, and pop mixed in with unabashed Mexican love songs
Okay.
as well.
And clearly had a profound influence on you and your musical career and your music writing.
It did.
Yeah. So
And then
what
just
ages
having
were they?
that, I think the next, then getting into, well, that's a whole other story, but just kind of not fitting in with my family at home, with the exception of my grandparents and being Hispanic and not fitting in with the kids that were Hispanic and not fitting in with other kids. I kind of got into skateboarding and punk rock, and as I was getting older, as a young teenager, I was collecting records that were anything from jazz to punk rock records. And
Not a lot of your friends or peers were doing that.
no, most of the kids I hung out with, well, they weren't kids. They were about 4 or 5 years older than me at the time.
Oh, wow.
So when I was a freshman in high school, most of the people I was gallivanting around with had already graduated from high school.
And they were into like what, punk or?
Yeah, they were into going to punk shows. I've known Tim May since I was 14 years old, and yeah, just going to shows, hitchhiking, and going to shows up in LA. And
Yeah, not a lot happening in El Centro venues. Not a lot. Of
no,
music.
I didn't live in El Centro, but I spent many a weekend there
Okay.
working on my grandfather's ranch and hanging out with my grandparents.
So then, when did you start playing music? Was it around your teens when you started to?
No, I think my dad taught me a few chords when I was probably 6.
Okay.
And it was just an on and off kind of thing. And then I think I started crafting tunes. I think I had my first solo gig at a place called Drowsy Maggie's in North Park. And it had been there, I think, since the 60s. And that was like my first solo show.
And how old were you?
I think I was 16 at
Wow.
Drowsy Maggie's, yeah.
And here you are, a few decades later, doing it.
Yes.
Continue to do it. So you are a bit of a, well, you fit into a lot of situations and it comes into your music. So you play solo shows, you play as duos, you play with trio, and then even a sextet. There's an album called Sextet.
Yes.
And you just are very flexible when it comes to that. And I'd like to hear a little bit more about how that all comes together. Do you say like one day, hey, I think it's time to play it as a sextet, or is it more organic than that?
I think sometimes it's just it depends on the economics of the situation. You know?
Yeah, there's that.
Sometimes we can afford to have a sextet, and sometimes we can only afford to have me.
And your hat.
And I like to take care of everybody that I play with. I feel so blessed and destroyed with all those situations in a wonderful way. But so happy to have these guys. Hey, you guys meet? Pat, Marco, Dave, Marco. We all just met. I just found these guys in the street. But
Yeah, well, yeah, I think Pat and the Sax have been in the parking lot for a while. He's been busking in this. Yeah. So as a foursome, have you guys played together, or is this a whole new configuration here?
we have all played together separately, but not together. This is the first
What?
time these four
What does
have
that
ever
even
been
mean?
This is the first time that the four of us have been on stage together. Yeah.
Okay. And who do you know here the longest?
Actually, technically, Dave Gleason. Dave used to live in the Bay Area and then moved to Nashville for many a year. But I was playing bass in a band called Lady Dottie and the Diamonds, and we were the house band.
And they're still around,
for a few
right?
years, a little bit, yes.
Yeah.
And Dave came into town and played guitar for the night, and that was my first time. I knew who he was and was a huge fan of his songwriting, and clearly his guitar playing is just phenomenal. But it was just a wonderful experience to be able to play next to him all night and with Lady Dottie, and so that was the first time we met, and that was how long ago was that?
At least 10 years ago. If not a little
At
bit.
least, yeah.
But you guys look the same, right?
Yeah.
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 And then as far as let's
If
talk a
you could
little.
only see the liver.
Yeah.
We look great.
So there's a new album.
Yes,
It's
sir.
called the Memphis Sessions.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that, please.
It was a record I recorded
In Memphis?
in Memphis. Yes, in Memphis, and some. It's called Memphis Sessions, recorded in St. Louis. It's called in Timbuktu. No, I recorded in Memphis with some really great friends, and it just kind of happened and unfolded that way. I'd been wanting to go out there and record, and some friends were trying to drag me to Nashville, and I didn't want to go, and it just kind of everything unfolded there, and as if it were planned, no hitches, and AJ Croce came down from Nashville and played piano, and had some Memphis friends that lived there in Memphis on the drums and horns, and Mike Butler flew out with me and played guitar and oversaw the project, and then it was brought back here and mixed. But that project took place after a huge debacle, and after I'd had been working with a producer who was interested in working with me, and kind of lost tracks apparently, and basically had to scrap the whole thing. I was left with nothing.
Oh my Christ.
So I kind of just toured around solo for about a year till I figured out how I was going to do or salvage what I could salvage, which was nothing.
Wow, what a punch in the gut, man.
And it was a punch in the gut and a learning lesson. And but you know, things happen for a reason. And in hindsight, it's like, man, I'm glad that happened because I'm so happy with what the outcome was. And
Destiny.
there you have it, destiny.
All right. Well, you got some more music for us?
I do. We're gonna go back to the sextet. This is the song's called "Hearts Underwater."
Stephen L. Ray live here on Not So Serious Radio, KKSM. Stephen L. Ray, live here on Not So Serious Radio. Stephen and Friends. Hello.
Yes, my good friends. My good friends.
So that track you made, Leaving Easy, I think that's kind of self-explanatory.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And I think I need to study the lyrics on that one a little bit. So that's on the new album we talked about, Memphis Sessions, and we have an event coming up relating to that album. How about we talk about that?
So happy to announce, it's been announced for a while, but this Friday is my record release. But it's also just a great party with some of my closest friends, Low Volts, Shane Hall, Mr. Jesse Lee Wilder, and Baby Doll Warriors, Danny Bell, the Tarantist. And I have a wonderful friend, DJ Tony Tiger, that just has just an epic, genuine, rare, eclectic collection of vinyl and 45s. And he'll also be shadowing or projecting old horror movies, black and white horror movies in the room.
Because it is a Halloween-themed evening. It's called The Nightmare Before Halloween.
Nightmare Before Halloween. It's Tim
at
Burton inspired.
The Lafayette Hotel and beach cabanas and pool cabanas.
Yes, and
right
there'll be a
here in San
raffle
Diego.
benefiting the Tijuana River Valley Horse Rescue.
Oh, there's a feel-good
And
component to this, too.
Yes, there's
Look at that.
many points to be brought up here, but most
Yeah.
importantly, it is a pre-Halloween party, and
Costumes are
if you haven't-
encouraged.
Costumes are encouraged. There is going to be a costume contest.
Okay.
Again, Tim Burton themed, and but I think whatever you're wearing, if it's the best, it's the best. So
Well, I talked to Marco. He said he's going to go as you.
you think he's going to shave that beard?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, he's just going to detach it like he does at night.
I told you.
Again, at the Lafayette, it's your record release party, and I do want to mention that the Memphis Sessions is being released on Pig Baby Records.
Yes, Pig Baby Records put this out. Great, great, great record label that does vinyl, exclusively just vinyl, and some of your favorite bands. Schizophonics are on this label, and the Rosalinds, Deke Dickerson, and some new releases out. Go to pigbaby.com. You can see all the new releases right now, and this record is one of them.
All right.
I'm so happy to say that.
So in addition to this Friday, the 25th, that event at Lafayette, we've got something going on November 2nd at the Northern Pine Brewery. It's their anniversary.
Yeah, it's my North County family up there that have hijacked me from time to time, and including Jesse and Chad Lee over at Northern Pines. I believe it's their anniversary party, and
Yeah.
they're having a little festival on November 2nd, and I'll be performing as well.
Is that a daytime thing, or?
I believe it's all day and evening.
Okay. There you go. All right. I did, as I mentioned earlier, I wanted to talk to everybody here in the band. A brief question. We always like to know what everybody's listening to these days. And I think I'd like to start with Marco. He is very prepared for this. Marco, Marco, what are you listening to these days?
Been listening to the record Texas Twister by Melvin Sparks.
Okay.
So yeah, I was the guitarist on that. It was this record that we actually picked up at Record Store Day a couple years ago.
Just
yeah.
getting to it now?
Yeah, well, we listened to it then, but vinyl, it was at Vinyl Junkies. It was in the weird finds, like $2 record. But it's such a fantastic album. Texas Twister, I encourage anyone to listen to it.
All right. Good answer. Good answer. And then what about you, Pat?
I've been listening to a lot of bluegrass lately, like the Dillards, really old bluegrass, and then Turnpike Troubadours is pretty cool.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
those guys. A lot of traditional Irish music too. There's a lot of similar instruments between the bluegrass and the country and the traditional Irish music. So I've been listening to a decent amount of that as well.
Any good Barry sax there? Or?
That's the thing. not many horns in that traditional music at all. There's a lot of strings and a lot of you catch an occasional pipe here or there, but no horns in that kind
And
of
by
music.
pipe, do you mean bagpipe?
Yeah, like uilleann pipes, like traditional Irish uilleann
Okay.
pipes, or like a fife, or like big
Cool.
wooden
A
flute
fife.
or traditional flute. So
All right. What about you, Mr. Dave?
Yes. Well, I'm on a Miles Davis kick again. but that's been most of my life. And I got this
You can't quit
Philip
'em.
Glass box set the other day that I've been pretty hot on.
Oh wow,
So,
that's
you know,
different.
not really any guitar music at all is kind of my thing. You know, I'm pretty big on like Bill Evans and jazz piano players. And yeah, this Philip Glass thing is really kind of blowing my mind over the last couple days. And that's about it. Other than that, I kind of like to walk around in silence around my house. Very honestly.
Yeah. Well, you surprised me. I kind of thought you were going to be saying you're listening to old Madonna, but I'm glad. There you go.
Is there such a thing as old Madonna? Isn't that just
Well, I don't know. How
80s?
old is she?
I don't know. I'm also showing my age here. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, nothing like that at all.
Okay, good. Steven?
I've been coming full circle with one of my favorite singers of all time is Johnny Hartman. And there's a record that he made with Coltrane, and I think the record company story is that they kept trying to strong arm Coltrane and pestering him to do a record, and they were trying to introduce all these wonderful female vocalists, and he just wouldn't have it. If I'm going to do a record with a vocalist, it's going to be Johnny Hartman, and that record's one of my favorite vocalists. And the other record is I've been digging back into is it's a record with Ry Cooder and Manuel Gilban called Mambos Innuendos. So there's a whole different sound and world on that record that I just sink myself into.
All right. So we got all those that we heard from all four of you. You've got one more song to play. I want to hear all of those influences in this next song.
Well, I think it's going to happen.
What do we got? What's the choice here? We had an option. What are we going to play here for the last track?
I think we're going to do Los Angeles.
It's not even on the list. We're going to do Los Angeles, which is from a different side project that you have, right?
I have lots of boots, lots of side projects.
All right. Stephen L. Ray, live here, Not So Serious Radio.
feel the pain half. In a dream I wanted to wake up from. I hear angels when you sing. Thank you very much.
Oh, my Christ. Stephen L. Ray and Friends, live here on Not So Serious Radio. Thanks so much. That was a wonderful rendition of the
Roob,
track.
thank you for having us.
Los Angeles. Yeah, sure. And I just want to point out that that song Los Angeles, there's a really bitchin' video about it or on it, of it. That's on there on the YouTubes, and we used it as part of the promotions for this. You can look on my social media for some clips, but go find it on YouTube and watch the entire vid. It's really well done, and it's a different rendition than what we heard today.
Yeah,
There's some horns on that one.
rendition has some other friends on it and some local friends in the jazz and brass community. And in the video, there's beautiful dancing and trumpet playing by Miss Lelania Lovelight. And yeah, check out the video. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, and you do some mean dancing there, Steven.
I've been I've been inspired. I've been trying to. I have 2 left boots, and I'm trying to correct one and learn the tango.
All right. All right. Well, if you like what you heard tonight, head out to the Lafayette Hotel this Friday, October 25th, for the Nightmare Before Christmas. It's Steven's
Nightmare Before Halloween.
Christmas. Did I say Christmas? Oh my Christ.
Halloween.
Halloween, and it's the record release party for the new album called the Memphis Sessions, and a whole slew of other fine San Diego artists on the bill. Do get there. Costumes are encouraged. Before we go, there's a momentous occasion here on Not So Serious Radio.
I've been hearing about this.
Yeah. So
Roob, I've been hearing about this.
yeah, this is it. This is it. So
Is this it?
hello, Marco. Marco, I'm holding a trophy in my hand. This trophy is for you. Do you know why? No. Marco, you've appeared on this show. This is your 3rd time in 3 different bands. Therefore, there is now a society named after you. It is the Marco Savoia Society for anyone who has played on this show live in 3 different bands. Wow. So,
Yay!
congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen out
Don't leave me
there in
hanging.
Radio Land, if you're listening, please put your hands together for Marco Savoia.
Yeah. Now there are about no, don't read it. Don't read it. It's just a prop. But yeah, there have been maybe a dozen people that have played on this show in 2 different bands, but you're the first to do 3. So you have your own society named after you. Oh, wow. And just for the record, you played here live with Taken by Canadians on our very first live performance, which was like 2 plus 3 years ago. And then most recently, you played with Pink Eye back in December. So, and now here you are for the 3rd time. So we love your support.
This is an honor, and I'm happy to receive this foreign language program winner.
Hey, man. Good,
Let me take that for safekeeping. So thanks again.
good
All
things
right.
come when your name's on the bathroom wall.
There you go. All right. All right. Well, Marco and Pat and Dave and Steven, thank you so much for coming on. Great show. Loved having you. KKSM, the Radio Revolution.